All right, so without further ado, today's workshop is all about captioning, and specifically all about closed captioning, and I'll explain what the difference is in just a minute. So first, I just want to talk a little bit about why captioning is important, and the obvious one is it helps people who are experiencing some kind of hearing impairment. So those are who are deaf or hard of hearing. Obviously, they need captions in order to quote unquote hear what is going on in the video and following it. About 15% of American adults reported at least some trouble hearing, so some trouble hearing or more. And this especially affects older adults. Generally, the statistics show the older you get, the more affected you are by, sort of physical disabilities, and especially by those who have a job that has exposed them continuously to loud noises, show greater amounts of hearing loss. And I think that kind of encapsulates a good chunk of our population at KVCC. We have a lot of non-traditional students, a lot of students who are working or who have a background of work and are trying to change careers or progress. So those are ones I really want to think about when we caption things. But also, even now this is super old. I recognize this is 2006, and it was also in the UK. But that said, 80% of those who used captions didn't have a hearing disability. So the vast majority of people watching captions on their television at home, where theoretically, the only noise they're dealing with might be, kids or family. Even then, most of the people who used captions did not have a disability. So clearly there's more than one group here that benefits from captions. And in sort of a more modern example, you can think of people watching video without headphones. And this honestly happens to me a lot when I'm scrolling through social media, for example. I really do rely on captions because, I might be in a public environment. A little bit less so nowadays, but if you're around other people and you don't want to disturb them, you watch videos with captions. Or if you're in a very noisy environment and you don't have headphones, think about, going to the gym or at a bar. Obviously, both of these things are less common right at this moment, but presumably will be common again someday. So captions are very helpful for that. And people have brought up, like, hey, I was at the gym at KVCC or was watching the TVs and they didn't have captions. Can we turn those on? So they are helpful for a wider population. Helpful for people who are learning English as a foreign language. Definitely improves vocabulary and understanding. And also students who report using captions in class, they find it helpful for a variety of reasons. And that includes helping them focus and retain the information that they are focusing on. Overcome poor audio. I know we've all sort of been forced into our home studios at some point or another. And, it's not always feasible to, put time and effort into having the best audio set up. You can overcome that if you have captions. And helping students learn the vocabulary, sometimes they rely on it for things like spelling. So that can be helpful as well. There's a lot of reasons to caption. So I want to talk about, though, because there are there's more than two different types of captions, but there are captions that are generated by a machine. So I might call these multiple things: auto captions, machine captions. Basically they're not human generated. They're generated by speech to text technology. And these machine captions kind of come from a lot of different sources. There's a lot of different machine caption companies out there with varying degrees of success. A year ago, I might have told you that YouTube has the best machine captions. That's no longer the case. So that is definitely an evolving field, as anyone who uses voice to text on their phone to text people will know. So machine captions versus human captions. The one on the right is something that I captioned myself, versus the one on the left was auto-captioned by YouTube. And this is the Faculty Instructional Awards. You can see the difference. So not only does the one on the left say, English auto-generated, which, by the way, if you are looking for YouTube videos to use in your classes and you don't necessarily know how to evaluate the captions, when you first turn them on, you'll see auto-generated if it was machine captioned by YouTube. If it's just, if it was human captioned, it'll just say like English. It won't say auto-generated, or whatever language you happen to be watching in. That does not necessarily mean that just because it was human captioned, it was done accurately. So for example, the one on the right, if I follow the correct captioning guidelines, I should have lowercased the L, I just noticed, but you know, small details like that. You'll notice the one on the left is substantially less helpful. So there's lack of punctuation, there's lack of capitalization, even words like I've, which seems like, you know, a captioning software could capitalize the I in that. You know, Patrick isn't capitalized. It's like it didn't really even attempt capitalization punctuation. Whereas the one on the right has speaker identification. It tells you who is saying what, which is important, you know, nowadays, especially if people are wearing masks. You can't necessarily tell just by watching who said something. It has atmospherics. It tells the mood and the tone of what's going on, because I indicated that Cynthia's laughing. So, and it also indicates that they're speaking at the same time. So having two captions on the screen at once shows that both of those speakers are kind of talking over one another. So there's a lot of information that's conveyed, like social information and atmospheric and contextual information, that can be conveyed in human captions that a machine just at this point can never hope to really encapsulate. So the other two types of captions are open versus closed. So open versus closed caption. Closed captions are usually going to be machine captioned or human captioned. Open captions, I assume, would often have to be done by a human. So open captions are baked in. They're sometimes called baked in captions. So basically, and I just stole these images from the internet, basically you can tell the one on the right has the little black box around it. If I wanted to, and let me actually minimize my screen and come up to one of my sample videos. So notice these are the closed captions. And notice that I can do some fun things with it. I can drag it around. So if this was covering up important information in your lecture, that's obviously very important for things like, you know, if you're writing a lot of math content or you have PowerPoints, students can drag this around and kind of move it. It also responds to things like zooming in. So if I am both hard of hearing or I want captions on and I have trouble seeing, I can zoom in and I can make the captions larger. I can also go to the settings and I can adjust my captions. Oh, options. Yep, I can adjust the color, I can adjust the font, I can adjust the size, the background. I can, if I have, you know, a special way of seeing things, like, you know, I need higher contrast or I want lower contrast. If I'm very sensitive to high contrast, I can adjust my captions in a way that's beneficial to me. So that's closed captions. That's the benefit of closed captions. Whereas open captions are just, they're there. They are what they are. You cannot change them. The user cannot change them. They are just baked into the video itself. So what is a caption file? And I bring up open versus closed and all of these things for a reason, because one of the misconceptions when you start to work with captions, whether you are going to request someone do the captions for you, which is an option now at KVCC, and I'm going to cover how to do that. But even, you know, even if you do that, or if you do captions yourself, it's kind of impossible to navigate around caption files. And this is a concept that's misunderstood. Whether it's open or closed, people tend to think that the caption is part of your video file, and that is not true. So now if it's open captioned, then yes, if they're baked in captions, your video file has the captions literally baked into, not figuratively baked into them. So it's just the one file that you're dealing with. But most of the time we are dealing with closed captions because they tend to be preferable in a lot of cases. So I want to think of this, I'm going to use this little metaphor of a girl holding a balloon. So she is my video, okay? So if you want to think of her as being the video, the captions are not her. The captions are this balloon she's holding, and I think it's an apt metaphor because the captions kind of, as you saw, they sort of float around. They float around on top of your video, but they are separate. She could let go of that balloon or get a different balloon. And so if the video moves on and she lets go of the balloon and the caption doesn't follow, then the video could lose its captions. It's not attached to the video in any permanent way. So videos and captions are both files. So you don't necessarily have to, it's not vital that you memorize this information because, again, it could change in a few years. I just want to expose you to these file types so that you know that they're nothing intimidating. So one example of a video file type is MP4. I think a lot of people are kind of familiar with seeing those, but there's a lot of other video types. .mov, I couldn't even remember. There's a lot of different video types, and they all sort of play differently on different devices. Meanwhile, the caption itself has its own file type. It has its own file extension. Now, the common ones, the ones I might talk about today are SRT or VTT. Again, don't want you to be intimidated by that. I just want you to get exposed to seeing it because it's really a simple file type. It's basically a fancy name for a text file that contains the captions as well as the timings. So when you upload your video somewhere, so let's say you produce a video, you upload it to YouTube, to Vimeo, to Screencast, to Panopto, to Canvas, you're uploading just the video file. And then when you do the captions, you may receive a caption file. You also have to upload that as well. Now, a lot of built-in editors, if you do your caption editing in the video itself, like the video platform has a caption editor that you can use to produce those edited, accurate video files, caption files. There is still a caption file in there. It's just hidden. From most of these platforms I'm going to show you, you can download the caption file and move it somewhere else, but at no point is it going to become part of the video during the closed caption process. So why do we have to do it that way? Why do we have to complicate things with two separate files? Whereas before we only had to deal with one file, the video file. Well, the benefit of that is, like I said, style. You can change captions to be a style that works for you. Also languages. If you want to have your captions viewed by a wider audience. A lot of times YouTube used to have the ability to contribute translations. So, your audience could actually say, hey, this is a really valuable video to me. It's in English. My native language is German, for example. I want to translate it to German to spread it to more German people. They used to be able to contribute those language captions. I have since seen articles and headlines saying that's no longer an option. I have not dug into it, but the point stands that when you have captions, closed captions as a separate file, you can add additional captions on top of the ones you already have. So you can have English and additional languages and additional styles. And this is a caption file. So like I said, I just wanted to make this less intimidating. This is literally what an SRT file looks like. This is the captions for the video that played at Summit about the new employee portal, the new home.kvcc.edu. And as you can see, it's just got the number 1 to show this is the first caption. It's got the time that caption should display from the start time to the end time. And it's got the actual line of captioning. So each of these is going to be a new caption, basically. And that's it. That is a caption file. That's all it does. You could theoretically type up one of these yourself, although that would be very, very, very tedious. And I don't necessarily recommend that. But you could download it, and you could, I just have this open in Notepad. That's an easy way to open caption files, is just in Notepad. You may have to poke your computer a little bit to get it to, it's not necessarily going to just automatically open a notepad. You might have to find it. But you can totally open these in Notepad. You can make changes to them. You can save them and re-upload them somewhere. They're really, it's really not a large or complicated file. The next important thing, if we talk about caption video, like videos and caption files as sort of being the peanut butter, then the platform is the jelly. That's a terrible metaphor, but you get what I'm trying to say. The platform is very important to allowing this whole caption process to happen. And that's because it is the platform, not the video itself, but the platform that you are using to stream the video or to watch the video that houses the video file, the MP4 or what have you. It also houses the caption file, and it is the thing that connects the two. It is the matchmaker between the video file and the caption file. So, and each one is going to handle things a little bit differently. Thankfully, at this point, things have progressed to the point where, through litigation, through culture changes, through people, more and more people demanding video and, watching video on their phones, captions are such a standard part of, the process for these video platform companies that they are pretty standardized. It's not something where you have to, memorize different things for different companies. For the most part, I use SRT as an example. They will accept video files or caption files from each other. So you could, in a lot of cases, you could download a caption file from one and upload it to another. Now, some don't allow you to download and some don't allow you to upload. So I'm going to kind of go over some of those differences. And again, keeping in mind that all of this could change because these software companies are continuously improving. Before I get into that, I want to talk about KVCC's new captioning service. So we now offer human captions at your request provided by the company Rev. And I want to put a little asterisk there because as of the time that I'm recording this video in fall 2020, this is still kind of a pilot process. It is live. It is available in your My Valley. You can go and do this right now if you wanted to. However, we recognize that we may still need to tweak the process. We are open to your feedback. If you go through it and you want to leave some comments that say, hey, this was confusing, or, it would really be helpful if I could do this, things in this process may change after we record this video. So there's two ways to currently request captions. You can do it from your My Valley, or you can do it from the KVCC intranet, the new one at home.kvcc.edu. In My Valley, you would come down under Workplace and you would click Captioning Request. And that is going to take you to a Google form. So I'm actually going to show you what that looks like. I'm going to log into My Valley. And I'm going to scroll down to Workplace. And it's right here, Captioning Requests. This is going to take you to a Google form, and basically, let me zoom in a little bit. You just want to fill this out and submit it. Now, so basically, we're going to ask for your email, your name, what courses your caption request is for. So if you're making videos that you want captioned, tell us which course or courses this is going to be for. Now, unfortunately, we have limited funds and we have limited staff time and availability in order to submit these captions. So we do have to do a little bit of prioritizing, and I'll talk about that in a bit, but that's why we're asking these other questions. So is your class online, blended, or blended synchronous? Very important. Do you have a student with a hearing disability or student needing captions as accommodations in your course? So if you have a student with an official accommodations letter, you have a student is hard of hearing, those might would get higher priority because we need to provide that as part of their accommodations, and it kind of trumps a lot of other things. The second most important thing, will you reuse this video for future classes? So like I said, we have limited funds in this captioning budget, and how much additional money we get might depend on request load, but like I said, we're kind of piloting this new process. So definitely prioritize videos that you are going to be reusing over and over and over again. It's helpful if we only have to do the captioning process once. Obviously, some things need to get updated as time goes on. You may be able to do some of those minor edits yourself if you just change a date or something like that. Do you own the copyright? How will you submit? So this might be the most confusing part for people so far. We currently do not have the ability for you to, hit an upload button right here and upload your video to us directly. We need you to put it somewhere else. Emailing it to us is probably not going to work because we have such a, as you may have run into, we have a limitation on the size of uploads, and it's pretty darn small. So I don't know that you'll necessarily be able to send a video to us that way. So basically, you can use any of these options or something that you've come up with yourself. If you want to think of it, we have access to your Canvas classes. We have access to Panopto. We have, you can give us a link to your YouTube or your Google Drive. So if your students are going to be watching this video in Panopto, for example, send us, let us know which video it is. Just send us the link to your Panopto. If students are going to be watching it in Canvas, then send us the link to Canvas. If the video is in Zoom, for example, I think maybe we should add that to this list. However you're going to get your students to watch it, you can send it to us the same way. So let's say that I have, this video in YouTube. I'm going to come up to the top and I'm going to get this URL at the top. I'm going to right click and copy, or you can Control C or Command C on a Mac. I'm going to come back to my form and I'm just going to paste that in there. So basically, you're just sending us to the place where we can find your video. If we have trouble accessing it or if we have questions, then we can get in contact with you. This is important. Try to give us your caption requests at least 2 weeks ahead of time. If you can request that we do something sooner, but unless you have a student who, it's an emergency and you have a student who has an accommodation, they really need it, it may take some time before we can get to your caption request. So we just want to emphasize that this isn't something to do the night before you need these captions. So try to give us at least 2 weeks. And then if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can put them here. So one of the other questions that came up about this process is, do I have to submit a new form for every video? You certainly can. And if you only have, a few videos to submit at a time, just like 1 or 2, then that would be probably preferable. But if you're submitting a lot of videos, you're welcome to, paste more than one course here. You're welcome to put more than one link here. You can just enter and, paste additional, let's see, you can do more than one link in this field. The only thing that we ask is make sure that the questions you answered are accurate for all of them. So if you don't own the copyright for one of the videos, or if you're going to reuse one of them but you're not going to reuse another one, submit a new form for those, or clarify in the comments. If you have suggestions for making that a clearer process, or if it starts to become a problem, we may enforce one video per submission, but we'll see. Like I said, this is still a process in its pilot phase. So fill out this form, hit submit, and that is actually going to go to Dave, our new instructional designer. Pros and cons of requesting human captions in this way. So obviously human captions are great. They are the ideal. They are what is needed to be considered accurate. If they are machine captioned, they cannot be considered accurate captions, even if it's a very good machine caption. It's very unlikely that everything will be accurate, I should say, unless it's a very short video and very, very clearly done. They are the least amount of work for you. You just have to fill out this request, and you will get you'll probably get a caption file back that you need to upload, which I'll talk about in just a minute. If you use Panopto, though, we could possibly even just upload them for you because we have admin access to all of your Panopto videos. So it may even just be, you may get a caption file back, or we may be able to just, pop that caption on the video for you, and you would be good to go. So reason to use Panopto is we can help you more with your Panopto videos than we can with your YouTube videos. And if you've never used Panopto, that is a plug to watch our Intro to Panopto workshop on YouTube, or to attend a Panopto workshop that we may have on our calendar. But there are cons. So one is that it is expensive. So videos, depending on our budget, depending on the staff resources we have and the volume of requests that we end up getting, we may have to prioritize videos based on need. So if, we have students with accommodations, obviously come first. Videos that you're going to reuse over and over come first. You may experience a delay, again, depending on the volume that we get. It may not be, human captioning takes time, and that's true. Even if we submit it the day you submit it for captioning, it could still take several days depending on the length of your video as well. You may have to upload the caption file yourself, which I'm going to show you how to do in just a minute. And you can't, like I said, you can't upload your video files directly to us. But what you can do is upload your video file to your Google Drive or to your, to YouTube. You can set it to unlisted so that only people you send the link to can see it. You can upload it to Panopto and keep it private, and then we can access it. So there's options there, but you can't yet just send it directly to us. So using our captioning service is recommended, obviously, for students with accommodations for a disability. And again, like I said, if you have videos that you're going to use over and over. Also, if your videos are very short, so research shows that the optimum video length for students paying attention is 6 minutes or less, which sounds kind of draconian. And it's definitely not something that, we understand how difficult that is. The FSC doesn't always practice what we preach in that regard, as evidenced by our very long workshops. But, if you have the ability to start breaking your lectures down into, different videos by topic, and they get kind of short, that's awesome. And, submitting those are going to be A, less expensive, and B, they'll have a faster turnaround time, because your turnaround time is based on the individual video and not on all the videos that you submit collectively. So yeah, if you have short videos versus very, very, very long videos, that's recommended as well. However, one-time use videos are not recommended. So we're currently saying if you're recording live lectures in Zoom, for example, and then making them available online afterward, again, that's not something that we're planning on submitting a bunch of live Zoom lectures to Rev, because we will very quickly run out of captioning money. Videos that are going to be constantly changed or updated, I always feel a little bit bad about. We've submitted some of our FSC workshop videos to Rev to get accurate captioning, and already, like the Panopto one, I'm thinking about removing, updating that video with a new recording, because technology is constantly changing and our videos constantly need updates. So that's a harder one to do, versus if you're doing a lecture about, I had an archaeology instructor who told me to get the oldest archaeology book that we could possibly get, the oldest textbook, the oldest edition, because archaeology changes very, very, very slowly. And if there were updates, he would tell us. So if you have videos that are kind of like that, sort of just doing definitions and that kind of stuff, those are better. And again, all of this is unless you have a student who needs an accommodation. If you have a student who needs an accommodation, that's primary. Awesome. Okay, so like I said, you submit this, we get back to you, we may give you, let's say you have your video in YouTube or somewhere, or on your Google Drive, we send you a caption file. So you submit this request, we give you a file back, and you're like, okay, what do I do with this? So what to do with caption files, I'm going to give you a bird's eye view. First and foremost, make sure your video is uploaded to where it's going to live. So wherever your students are going to watch it, so Canvas, Panopto, YouTube, Vimeo, whatever you're using, make sure that it has already been uploaded. It may need some time to process after you upload it, especially if it's very long. So kind of be thinking about that. You can maybe do that in advance. Is upload it to Canvas. Maybe keep it hidden, or let students know that captions are coming. But yeah, upload that first and let it process. So the next thing is you're going to upload the caption file, and that's going to be different, a little bit different depending on the platform. So whether you're using YouTube or Canvas, it's going to be slightly different. And then those captions may need time to process as well. The platform has to read all of those timings and generate captions based on what it finds in your caption file. So again, depending on the length of your video, typically that does not take as long to process, but it will need some processing time. You may be able to make additional tweaks to your captions if the platform has a caption editor. So if you notice that the human captioner spelled your name wrong or something like that, you can, or they misspelled one particular concept that's really important or whatever, you could make additional tweaks to your captions if you're using a platform that has an editor. And again, we'll talk about that in a sec. If you download your video to upload it somewhere else, so let's say that you initially had all of your videos on YouTube, but you've decided that you've learned how to use Panopto now, and it's a little bit more private, and it's a little bit, you retain ownership and things like that, and you're like, I'm going to use Panopto, or I'm going to upload them directly to Canvas, for example. You will need to, if you have your video file like downloaded from YouTube or just on your computer, you'll also need to download and re-upload your caption file. So again, the caption file is going to remain separate from your video even after you have uploaded them together. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about some platform specifics. So I'm going to talk about some of the most popular ones, and if I don't cover anything, if I don't cover something we're missing, I have a list of how-to articles in this PowerPoint at the end. So I'm going to send you this PowerPoint, and then you can jump to those articles at the end that'll tell you, specifically how to do each of these platforms. So the first one is Canvas. So Canvas allows you to upload your caption files, and I'm actually going to show you this hands-on, so it's a little bit less boring than just looking at a PowerPoint, I hope. So here is my sample course. It's a sandbox course that I set up just for this purpose. Zoom in just a tad. And so I've got a couple of pages here where I was testing out different things. I'm going to go to this uploaded page. And here you can see a video preview from a video that I uploaded directly to Canvas. So this is not in Panopto, this is not in YouTube. I uploaded the video to Canvas using the rich content editor. And as a quick review, the way that you do that in the current rich content editor is using this record/upload media button. I just uploaded the media file from my computer to Canvas. And so now what I need to do is I need to click. This is going to play when I do.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kalamazoo Valley Community.
Okay, pausing that. Notice over here on the bottom right, it's very small, so I don't blame you if you can't see it. There is right next to the timing on the video track bar or whatever it's called. I have the end time of the video, the time left, and then right next to it, I have a rectangle with CC inside of it, and that is your closed caption button. So what I need to do is hover over that, and the option right below that is, or sorry, right above that says upload subtitles. So I'm going to click on that. And it gives you all of these instructions for, a subtitle creation tool. That is a tool that lives outside of Canvas. One of the downsides of Canvas is that it doesn't have its own internal caption editor. Now you may run across, if you're Googling around, you may run across, I believe it's called Canvas Studio. It used to be called Canvas Arc. I think they rebranded it. That is a service we are not paying for. So that would be basically a service to replace Panopto. and that's an additional service. So Canvas Studio might have its own built-in caption editor, I would assume. I've not researched that, but so if you come across what's, captions in Canvas Studio, know that does not apply to KVCC at this time. But what I can do is, if I already have my SRT file, I'm going to bring up, I have this file explorer. Oh, there we go. I have this well, it's a text file, but I have my caption file that I downloaded from, I think it was Zoom. I can basically just choose a language. So I'm going to say these are English captions. I'm going to choose a file. And I'm going to upload my caption file to this platform. And uploaded successfully. Please refresh your browser. I'm going to hit the refresh button, which for me is at the top left. You can also hit probably Control R or F5. We're going to replay this. It's going to start playing.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kalamazoo
And now
Valley.
notice when I hover over that same CC button, I get English as one of my options. I'm going to turn that on.
Community College Faculty Instructional Awards. Since 1966.
There we go. We now have captions uploaded to our Canvas video, and that was a process that took maybe 2 minutes at most. So it's not a difficult one. Again, I have the instructions in this PowerPoint for you, so you don't necessarily have to remember it. You can just reference this. And I also have the official instructions from the Canvas guides at the end of this workshop. So Panopto. So if you are a Panopto user, that's another very popular platform at KVCC. It's very similar. You just kind of have to click the right places and find these things. So here I am in Panopto. You can also do this from within your Canvas course. So if you're like, oh my goodness, where is she right now? I am currently at lectures.kvcc.edu, which is the Panopto website. You can also do this process from within Canvas as well. So if I come over here to Panopto video, I have that link because I've already added Panopto to my course. This course already has Panopto installed. And notice I have my video here. So you can do this from right here, or you can do it from the Panopto website. And basically, we're just going to hover, and we're going to click on Settings. Is that the way I said to do this? Yeah, we're going to do this the settings way. I will show you how to import machine captions in a little bit. But I'm going to click on Settings. And all of these settings, there's like this bar on the left-hand side for all the different types of settings you can change here. I'm going to click on Captions. And again, here I have the ability to choose my caption file. Now, this button may or may not say something slightly different depending on what browser you're using. I've heard people say that the button can change in Canvas, for example, but regardless, you want this button underneath Upload Captions. And again, I'm just going to follow the same process. I'm going to find the caption file on my computer. I'm going to open it. And I'm going to hit this button that says Upload Captions. Now it's going to take a minute to process. So let's see, if I X out of here, it may say, yep, so notice that this little CC logo appeared. So that means that this video has a caption file associated with it now. So it's kind of easy to tell at a glance which of your videos have been captioned. And yeah, so then now if I play it.
Hello, everyone.
And there we go. There's our captions. A benefit of using Panopto over Canvas as your video platform. For one, Canvas has limited space. Now, I don't think it's going to be anywhere near what we faced with Moodle sort of crashing during the end times. But we may hit a point where, we don't plan to keep all classes and all media indefinitely. I don't want that to scare you because we're not going to spring it on anyone by any means. As soon as we even start to get close, we're gonna formalize that process and communicate it. I'm certainly not going to get rid of anyone's stuff without them knowing about it. So, but in any case, if we have different space limits in Panopto, and it's not based on storage, it's based on usage. So feel free to upload your things to Panopto. We don't have any plans to delete them. The benefit to your students is that, notice I did not have to turn these captions on. So whereas in Canvas you kind of had to find that tiny little CC button, in Panopto the captions just display, which is really nice. And it also displays below the video, I just noticed, as opposed to on top of everything, which is good. In Panopto, students also have this option on the left to click on captions, and they can read the transcript along with your video. If you didn't know that you could do this in YouTube, you can do this in YouTube. It's really handy. So I can come over here to YouTube, and I can click on these little 3 dots at the bottom of the YouTube video and say open transcript. Guys, I use this all the time. For one, it's searchable. So if you know the Control F trick, Control F for find, you can search for a specific place in this video. You can also click here and it'll take you right to that spot. Sometimes I skim through the transcript of videos, even if they're machine captioned, just to see if the video covers what I want it to cover. If I'm trying to figure out how to, I don't know, you can figure out how to do a lot of things on YouTube. People make instructional videos for all kinds of stuff. Sometimes I'll skim this transcript rather than watching the whole video and hoping that they cover stuff. So if you didn't know that was there, that's a bonus for you, that I didn't intend to put in this workshop. But yes. And then finally, I'm not going to cover how to upload your caption file to YouTube just for the sake of time, but know that it's a similar process. I think it's a little bit trickier to find in YouTube. And there's a couple different ways to do it. So I've included a couple different videos that show you how to upload your closed captions in YouTube. The process also changed recently, but since YouTube is a third-party tool, you are welcome to follow these instructions to do that. The thing I have not covered is Zoom, really. And in Zoom, they call captions transcripts, because it includes the captions, but it also includes the transcript automatically along the right-hand side of your video. So let me show you. I'm in my Zoom recordings here. So I logged into the Zoom website. I went to my profile. I clicked on this recordings button over here, and I found, if I do that, I found all my recordings from the last few days here. So notice that these are cloud recordings and not local. So if you record locally, this will not work. But if I go to my recording from yesterday, I can watch this video, and I just did a screen recording of the exact same video. So notice I've got the video, I've got my captions down here, and I've also got my audio transcript over here on the right-hand side. And then I've got the speaker view here as well. You can share this page. If you record your Zoom lectures to the cloud, you can share this page with your students so that they can watch your videos. And they will get these auto machine captions. And I'm not going to cover how to do that in this workshop, but some pros and cons of Zoom captions. Pros, it will add speaker labels for you. So it will attempt to. So if when the transcript comes out for this video, Mark, if you said something right now, it would detect that you were the one speaking because it knows that you're logged in. And so it will add, Mark Love as the speaker for whatever it is that you say. Super duper helpful. It's easy to edit. You can edit your captions pretty easily. You can download your edited captions, and you can download your video if you want to, for example, put your Zoom videos in Panopto, or put your Zoom videos on YouTube, or put your Zoom videos in Canvas. So once you, over here on the right-hand side, I can just click on one of these things, and I can just, make a change, put a period there, and I can just hit the blue check mark, and it will save that change. And if I download my caption file, all of my changes will be in that file. It's about as accurate as Panopto machine captions. So we haven't talked a ton about the different machine caption options. I haven't done a full comparison, but it seems to be about where Panopto is. And Panopto and Zoom both seem to be better than where YouTube is currently. Cons, this only works with cloud recordings. So if you're doing local recordings, it will not auto caption them for you, to my knowledge. That's what the documentation says. I haven't actually tested it. Lack of accuracy, this is true for all machine captions. Unless you edit it, it is not going to be accurate. You also have to make sure the setting is turned on first. I found a couple videos recently that didn't have captions on them, and unfortunately, you can't upload caption files to Zoom. As of fall 2020, that is what I have found to be true. So you kind of get one chance to record to the cloud, make sure you have your setting turned on to do auto transcripts, and that's kind of it. You can edit them once they're produced, and you can download them, but Zoom isn't really a platform for you to go uploading your videos to or uploading captions to. So to turn on auto captions, I'm not going to spend any time on this, but follow these instructions and make sure that audio transcript is checked in your Zoom settings. Otherwise, you'll find that you come to this page and there just will not be a transcript here. And unfortunately, I have not found a way to rectify that after the fact. Editing captions. So if you are using, let's say that you have a video, it's very short, you kind of want, you want to put it up tonight, but you want to put it up tonight with the captions. It doesn't really meet the criteria for, even if it's not true, it doesn't really, it's not something that you want to submit for human captions because it might take too long, or you think it's going to be easy to edit. When we talk about editing captions for accuracy, there's sort of three, whoops, I had an emoji at the front of this, these two things, and I guess this explains why you don't use emojis for formatting. But in any case, caption accuracy is important for a number of reasons. Clarity and accuracy of the content. I have watched some auto-captioned YouTube videos on math, and the numbers were wrong, which is obviously bad. If you're teaching history and it gets the names wrong, if you have jargon, right, you have specific vocabulary words. Panopto auto-captioning used to be really ridiculous. I don't know if they changed caption vendors or the caption vendor just got way better, but it used to caption endoplasmic reticulum became end of plastic ridiculous. So, and that's distracting and it's not very clear, obviously. Sometimes the captions are, even if the number in the caption isn't accurate, you may say, well, it's on the PowerPoint, right? Or I'm drawing it and it's on the screen. So even if it's not accurate in the captions, you can, from context, look at the screen and figure out what I was trying to say. Yes, sometimes, but again, I'm going to go back to something that we teach a lot in, or that gets taught a lot in, like the Online and Blended Teaching Seminar, for example, about best practices of teaching online. And basically, this is the dumbed down version. It's not literally true, but the metaphor is basically that the more brain cells your students spend on trying to figure out what you want them to do or trying to figure out what you're trying to say, the fewer brain cells they have left over to spend on meaningfully engaging with your true content. And so that's why we recommend, organizing your Canvas course in a consistent, logical way, right? Because if students if they get lost and they have to click around and they have to find what you're trying to teach them, they're gonna spend less energy learning it. And so even if the student could figure it out from context, I would say never ever rely too heavily on that, because it takes away from the learning experience for students. And then, of course, legality. I'm not going to hit anyone over the head with the law by any means, because this is a learning process for all of us. But Harvard, for example, was sued. Harvard and MIT, they were sued for not only not having captions on their massive open online courses, the MOOCs on edX, if you're familiar with those. They were sued for the legality, or sorry, for the accuracy of their captions. So the law states that captions have to be as accurate as possible, 99% plus accurate, right? That's where the law has come down on that. Not that I am going to try to put the fear of the law in you by any means, but just so you know that, legally speaking, any amount of inaccuracy is bad. So that's another angle to consider caption accuracy. You can read over these yourselves, just some suggestions for caption accuracy. Obviously, I do not suggest having a standard Midwest American accent if you do not already have one. Simply I point that out because unfortunately it is true that, having a standard accent does, make it easier for the machine caption to pick up on you, because machine captions are generally being developed based on data from people with standard, quote unquote, American accents. I'm not a fan of it, but it's kind of like my boyfriend makes fun of me. I have a Google Home, and whenever I try to get Google's attention, it'll sound like, "Hey Google, do this thing." "Hey Google, do this thing." I have to lower my voice because Google wants me to be a man. So, if you know you have an accent, just know that you might have to, if you enunciate a little bit more clearly, the audio quality might be a little bit more important for you than it would be normally. Although, speaking in a quiet room without echo, that will help everybody, but it might be a little bit more important for you. And you might end up just having to spend a little bit more time on captions. And unfortunately, one of the reasons that students report using captions is to help them understand content from an instructor who has an accent that's different from them. So it's not only a little bit more difficult, it is also a little bit more important from that perspective. And that's unfortunate, but hopefully the caption, the speech to text capabilities are evolving rapidly. So I'm very hopeful that, within a couple of years, that will not have to be a bullet point on my PowerPoint. We hope. So I want to be respectful of your time, so I'm just going to go through this real quick. Basically, my point, I have some pluses and minuses for using the different platforms. They're all a little bit different, but generally speaking, you don't have to worry about caption file type. I have not yet run into an instance where I could not download a caption file from one, and even if it was SRT or TXT or VTT, so far I've been able to upload that caption file to all of the other ones. So don't worry too heavily about that. I already showed you how to edit your captions in Zoom. Machine captions in Panopto. So this is kind of an important point. If you already have your video uploaded to Panopto, so I'm going to come here. I'm going to come to my caption sample video. Instead of going to settings, I'm going to come over here to edit. And unfortunately, one of the downsides of Panopto is that it will not import your machine captions automatically. So it will do machine captions, but it won't turn them on for you, unfortunately. So I came in to edit my video. I came over here to the left-hand side to click on Captions. And I've got this Import Captions drop-down, and I need to click this one that says Import Automatic Captions. If you do not see this, it means the captions are not done yet. So if you just uploaded a video, it may be several hours before the machine captions are ready to be imported, which is kind of unfortunate. It would be really nice if you could just upload, caption, go. Unfortunately, we have not yet. If we can find a way to import these automatically, we will certainly do that. When we last looked into it, there was not a way to import these automatically from the admin side. So make sure if you upload your videos to Panopto, look for that CC underneath the name of your video. If you don't see it, it's just a reminder, head over to Edit, come to Captions, import automatic captions, and then finally you have to hit the Save button. So it says Apply up here at the top, this blue button. And if you want to undo your changes, you can revert, but you would apply your changes and then those machine captions are going to be available. To edit these machine captions, I can just come over here on the left and just click and then just start editing. So right here, I know he doesn't say this here, he says it's here. So it's here. It's here that lives have been changed. And then I just click away from it. And again, I have to remember to apply my changes, and then it's going to save the changes that I've made to my edited captions and automatically reprocess those for me, which again, may take a few minutes. I'm not going to cover this in depth, but know that YouTube has the ability, if you have a script, something that I recommend, I know people kind of balk at this when I say it, but if you're doing the thing where you're making 6-minute videos or less, or 10-minute videos focused on one particular topic, and you do that in a series as opposed to, recording an hour-long lecture, and you have time to sit down and record it, not live in front of people, I highly, 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 highly recommend writing a script. You don't necessarily have to stick to it, but I have found when I've made these videos, I like making a script. It reduces the number of takes I have to do, and I am someone who does a lot of takes normally. And like I said, I do go off script, all the time, but if you start with a script, it not only from an English writing perspective, it's always good to outline what you're going to say before you say it, and it keeps your content focused in those 6 minutes or whatever on just the things that are important to that particular video. The other benefit is that you can copy and paste that script into YouTube without any timings, and it will try to map that to your voice. Now, the success rate of that depends entirely on your audio quality. So if you're speaking clearly and slowly, without echo, without background noise, it seems to do a pretty decent job. So if you write a script for a 6-minute video, record it, make any changes to your script where you kind of went off script, copy and paste that into YouTube, it will turn them into timed captions for you. And then you just have to make little adjustments here or there, wherever that was missing. So that's something that I have a video here that shows you how to do that. You can also let YouTube auto caption your video, and you can edit those captions as well. Although I've found that takes a little bit longer than Panopto or Zoom, because it does not do the capitalization and the punctuation. I've got some tips here. We're wrapping up. I've got some tips on proper captions. So I use the Rev Style Guide as my mentor for this, but things like how long should my captions be? If they get really long and confusing, it reduces clarity. Speaker labels. So be cognizant of the fact that your audience may not know who is talking. So for example, you saw this example already. If you can't see someone and they start talking, you kind of have to say, or if you can see someone but they're wearing a mask, that's kind of a new situation. You have to let the person know who is actually saying this thing, because again, if your student has to spend time figuring that out, that's brain power they could have spent on figuring out an actually important concept to your class. Sound effects, give your students the benefit of, and this is all stuff that comes included if you submit for human captionings, by the way, but give students the benefit of atmospherics, of sound effects, if they are important to the video. Now, if you're recording in a crowded cafe and someone, drops a a glass behind you, that's not important, right? That's, unless you react to that, unless you go, oh wow, that was a loud sound or something. If you keep that in the video, make sure that you put the sound effects if you're reacting to it. But if it's not important, you don't need it. But if someone laughs, and that's an important social cue, right? That's important to put in there. If you have music, for example, intro music, that it's always good to include that. Just you're trying to give the exact same experience, or as close to the same experience for all your students that you possibly can. And that is it. I have resources available, so how to download caption files, how to upload caption files from all these different platforms. I've also noticed that Zoom does not let you upload as of this recording, and Canvas does not allow you to download as of this recording. That could change, but just a note there. As always, my final recommendation would be to use Panopto, just based on what we have available. But note that you can, if you really like, for example, YouTube's auto sync feature, you could do that, and then you can steal those captions and upload them to Panopto, for example. That is something that I have done back when YouTube was the better auto caption choice. I would upload something to YouTube, keep it private, and then download the captions that it had generated, so that I could edit them and put them into Panopto, because that was where I wanted the final video to live. So like I said, that is an option, because all of these, generally speaking, share supported caption file types. And then I've got resources on editing your captions. So if you need to edit your Zoom transcripts, if you need to edit your captions in Panopto, I added Camtasia in here. Camtasia is not really a platform per se. It's not a place where your videos can go and watch videos, but it is a place where you could create your own captions. So I included the how-to article on how to create captions in Camtasia. And remember again that you may have to save it in a particular way, because those captions are not going to become part of your video unless you are doing open captions. And then YouTube. And yeah, that is my caption workshop. So again, thank you guys for sticking around for all of it. And I am willing to take any comments, questions, concerns, or corrections.